You're listening to the Wealthy Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Klein, and the founder of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad, a community specifically curated for law students and lawyers who are ready for more success, wealth, personal growth and wellness, and ease in their legal career. With the tools and strategies I teach in the squad and that I've implemented in my own career successfully, I want you to get ready to approach your legal career in a whole new way and live a life you never imagined. I'm a former big law attorney, entrepreneur, law firm owner, and success coach for law students and new lawyers, and I am here to support and inspire you on your journey in the law every step of the way. Let's go, squad. Welcome to this episode of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I am beyond thrilled and excited to have Erin Gerner today as my guest. I was on her podcast at the end of last year, and we had the best conversation in the world. And I was like, I cannot wait to have you on my podcast so we can continue this goodness. I already know, I can tell you, money back guarantee. Like, this is going to be an incredible conversation. You need to listen to every word. The wisdom that Erin dropped when we had our conversation and the things that she teaches are just incredible. So really quick, I'll do a bio and then we will hop on in. Erin Gerner is a lawyer and the founder of Powerhouse Lawyers, a coaching program, and I love that name, by the way, a coaching program and community for women lawyers, and the Powerhouse Lawyers podcast. She's also a mama of two girls, right?
Yes.
2 girls, and she lives with her family just outside of Dallas. Here's a little bit of the background that we're going to dive in for. I'm going to ask you to give us more. After spending years building her legal career and family, Erin woke up to realize that the life she had built was one that she had dreaded. As a young mom to a toddler, I feel this so much, who saw the nanny more than she saw Erin. She was burnt out, unhappy, and suffering from chronic anxiety. Been there. She also felt that she had lost her sense of purpose and passion. She was asking, what am I doing? Why am I leaving my daughter every day for this? This part is incredible. These questions were in direct conflict with everything she had been taught about becoming a good lawyer. Like, if you are not suffering, then you are not working hard enough. She eventually made the decision to walk away from law. We're going to talk about that today. Spent years and years on her own self-discovery journey, educating herself. And thus, Powerhouse Lawyers was born. It's more than just a community. It's more than just events. It's a revolution in the way that women in law connect. So, Erin, welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I adore you. You know that, and everything that you're doing. I am just so happy to be here. We're kindred spirits and we're going to have an awesome combo.
Yes, we are. So I want to know, I kind of gave a little bit of the background, but what was your journey in the law? Why did you become an attorney, and how did you evolve to the place that you are today?
Yes. So I went straight through, did undergrad, went straight to law school. And I wish I could say that I was one of those women who was like, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I've, wanted to change the world and be a lawyer and all this kind of stuff. That is not true. I had been, told my whole life, you're great at school. You like to argue. You'd make a good lawyer. You like to read, all of these things that, yes, are very great character things about you, but those are not reasons to go to law school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself after college. And so going 3 more years to law school to quote unquote figure it out sounded like a great idea. Now, when you're making decisions when you're 20, 21, we can have some grace on that woman. But I have found telling that story, I used to be so embarrassed telling that story, dude, you just randomly went to law school. But there is a camp of, it's either you have wanted your whole life to be a lawyer and you go and you do the thing, or you're like me and you're like, I think I want to be a lawyer because people said I was smart and like to argue. So anyway, I ended up in law school and I actually thrived in law school. I graduated the top 10% of my class. I did all the things I was supposed to do, took a job, got out in the real law world and realized what I had actually signed up for. And I was in big law, drinking from the fire hose, literally getting sick every single morning before I would go to work. I would throw up every single morning before I go to work. I mean, saying that out loud now is crazy to me that I existed in that world. But I was like, this is what it is, apparently, because no one told me any different. And here I am. And I was in big law for a couple of years. I worked in the 2008 and 9 recession. And so we were working out everybody's loans, and then they worked out our jobs. So we were like the people on the news with our banker boxes, like exiting the building. I took another job in-house thinking, oh, this is the holy grail, right? Like they tell you, like, go in-house, you're going to have such a better work-life balance or whatever. Still, I'm not understanding really the magnitude of what's happening here, right? Or how to navigate it, because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a community. I didn't have women like showing me there was a different and better way. So I go in-house. You cannot work from home. I became a mom there, and that changed everything. I walked out the door, one woman, and came in a completely different person. And that woman did not know how to reconcile being completely out of alignment with her priority. I just literally combined 2 words, priorities and values. Did you know that we have a new word in the house? Anyway, I was just completely out of alignment. Now I can say that now, all these years later, but at the time I was like, well, either I can be a mom or a lawyer, apparently, because everything else doesn't feel right. So I walked away from the law, and I will say that my exit from the law, this is like a 1 out of 10 recommend. It was kind of like the peace out moment of my life. Like you just drop the gauntlet and you're like, I've had enough. I'm out. Should have probably planned a little better, had a little bit more foresight about what I was doing. Nonetheless, I walked away from the law thinking that if I then could go stay home with my daughter, that would fix it all, right? Like that's what I thought was the problem. So let's go home and be a stay-at-home mom, and that's going to fix it. Newsflash, that did not fix it. And so then I embarked on a journey of figuring out who Erin was, what she wanted, actually joined a network marketing company, which was so out of the box for me, but I was so desperate to find something else outside of law. This was after my second child was born, and I was going back to work, and I was like, gosh, don't want to do this again. I don't feel like, again, no community, no mentor, didn't feel like I could navigate this. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I can go over here and make some extra money. Well, what that ended up doing was not only did I build a huge business there, I learned massive entrepreneurial skills in a vacuum. Sales, business development, how to recruit, how to do all of these things in a vacuum while building this network marketing business. And I stepped up as a leader and a coach in that space, because you have to be able to teach, coach, mentor, and empower other people to then build a business to bring in additional income for their family. So I kind of accidentally stepped into this space, and it was a coach calling me forward to say, hey, Erin, you know, you could really impact female lawyers. And the lawyer that had walked away for all of those years ago, that imposter who felt like she wasn't good enough, because when you walk away, there's an identity crisis that happens. Mm-hmm. Who are you? You're a failure. You couldn't hack it. You weren't good enough. You're not a good lawyer. Yeah. So for me to have to reconcile those feelings with now stepping into a position of trying to actually help and empower female lawyers, that was a version of myself that I had to heal and had to actually like get back in the driver's seat and tell her a true story. And so that's how Powerhouse Lawyers was born. And for me, it's always been about community. The community within that network marketing business showed me for the first time in my life a different way to think. People were playing big and dreaming differently. And it was just exposing me and putting me in proximity with people who were thinking and doing differently that then inspired me to do the same. So here we are.
I love it. You want to know something funny? I also did a networking marketing business venture when I was in big law, because really 2 reasons. One, I started learning about this thing called passive income. And I was like, wait a minute, I need to figure this out. And also because I was seeking community, and I was seeking a way to do things differently and to learn different, like you said, marketing and sales and recruiting and all these things that you're probably not learning in a law firm. And I did the same. And a lot of people were like, I don't understand. That doesn't really make any sense. Like, why would you do this? And I'm like, but I'm loving it and I'm having a great time. And it really opened up the world of personal development to me. So that's really funny that we both
that
had.
is so crazy. I did not know that. What a great connection. But yes, that was the first introduction to personal development, like limiting beliefs. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't have to do what people say I'm going to do. What? Like, I mean, it was just like someone pulled back this whole mirror, and I was just, I was bought in, and I knew that was what was going to change my life and change the trajectory of how I worked and what I was going to do and become. And so, yeah, it changed my whole life. I say it all. I'm like, network marketing changed my life. I'd never in a million years would have thought I would say that, but it really did.
Yeah. Same. It's so crazy. And I know you recently had a retreat that I didn't get to go to. I really want to make sure I go to the next one. How did it go? What was the experience like? I want to hear about it since I had FOMO and I wasn't there. I just want to hop in really quick and let everyone know that I'm so excited to be launching my first cohort of the Lawyer Success Blueprint July 12th. This is going to be my new coaching program for new lawyers. This is typically people who are 1 to 10 years out of law school who are ready to find success and the tools and strategies to create their ultimate legal career and to really find success and ease in their law careers. It's starting July 12th, but don't forget to sign up early by June 30th to get the early bird special. Get $750 off this incredible coaching program and community with the code Wealthy Lawyer. I can't wait to see you in there.
It was amazing. And my sister-in-law actually is kind of my shadow. She's my right-hand lady. I would not be able to do this without her. And I looked at her like after the first night of the third retreat, and I was like, it happened again. Because when you host things like this and you have a group of people that come together, we're staying in a house, we're in close proximity. This is an intimate, intentional event to really connect on a deeper level. And it's got to be the right people and the right vibe. And it's just literally amazing to me that it happens every single time. And it's just evidence to me how much women in law are craving community, are craving intentional connection and true, authentic relationships with other women who are dreaming big, who are doing big, who are going big. And it makes you feel not alone. There's such a narrow space for women like us to find these relationships. And it's not easy because we're busy and we've got 1,000 things going on. And so it's just an honor to me to be able to provide this space for women to come together. And I say all the time, I have the best seat in the house. I get to watch this happen every single time, the transformations, the connections, just that in a vacuum of 3 or 4 days just catapults people to the next level and has them thinking and dreaming in a way they weren't before they walked in there. And let's be real, these women are thoroughbreds. I mean, like, they're already kicking ass in their life. It's just the refining, right? It's just one little tweak. It's one conversation. It's one different way of thinking that can change the entire game of your business and the way you think. And it's freaking awesome. It's awesome. I don't know how else to explain it. I just feel blessed to be on the sidelines. Well, I'm not even the sidelines, honestly. It does as much for me as it does for these women, to be honest with you, because I didn't have this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're the one bringing everyone together. And I am not in the least bit surprised that you had an incredible group, because your energy is so good and powerful and warm. And, you dream so big that obviously those are the women that you're attracting, obviously, of course, that's what's happening. So yeah, I would love to go to the next one. That is so amazing. So amazing. So I'm doing something new this season where I'm asking, my guests to answer questions from real life law students and lawyers. And I got this question a month ago. I spoke at my law school to all the 1Ls, and I got a question from someone, and I thought it was perfect for this episode. I know we're both mamas, we're both lawyers, and we both have been through it, in the legal industry. I know we talked about this on your episode, but when you first told me that you felt like you came back a different person after having that first baby, it was so nice to hear you say that, because that's how I felt. And I thought either something's wrong with me or something's wrong with the legal industry or both. I don't know, because it was really strange on a lot of levels for me to come back into law as a mother. Now that I own my own law firm, I'm like, I feel like it is the biggest tool I have in my toolbox talking about estate planning with families. And now it's a huge, I mean, it's always been a blessing, but it's a huge attribute that I really lean on. But when you said that, it hit so hard. And I thought this question would be perfect to ask on this episode. So Sophia, and she said I could use her real name, a 1L in law school, asked this question of me. I think you're going to love this. She said, I often criticize the legal field. And this is a 1L, guys. This is a 1L. Because I feel like not enough women address or even admit to having a happy work-life balance, especially once they have kids. I've met a few female attorneys and judges, and a good portion have told me that they were so devoted to work that they just figured having a family wasn't in the cards for them. And while I still admire having a successful career, I know for me personally, having a family is a top priority and something I'd never wish to sacrifice for any career. My question for you is, do you have any advice on how to make that balance possible in the future? And is there anything I can do now or in the short term to set myself up for more long-term freedom? Do you have any advice on how to make that balance possible in the future as I become a mom one day? I love this question, and it hit me so hard. I'm like, if this is the reality that law students are seeing in the law, like this is evidence that we need to change. There needs to be changed immediately because someone going into law school should not feel this way, like that you have to choose one or the other.
And as a 1L, she's already saying like, feeling like she's going to be limited somehow in her career because she wants to be a mom and a lawyer. Yeah. And I think women like us are changing the game. I think it's throwing the rope back to lawyers like this one at a time. But to answer her question, I think that this is a great question that you are asking this now as a 1L, because yes. I wish I had even the slightest bit of emotional intelligence or like mental fortitude to start asking myself about my priorities and my values and what a career in law looked like to me. Mm-hmm. I was just going along on the hamster wheel. So this is amazing that she is asking this question now. And what I would tell her is to really lean into those thoughts and see what is important to you. What do you want your career to look like? What are your priorities and your values? Knowing that they're going to be different probably right now in the short term as you do not have a family, and also understanding that they're going to change over time. In combination with that, there are so many women out there who are ready and willing and able and just eager to throw the rope back. So it is on you to really start seeking out those intentional mentorships and finding those women like Lauren right here, who is doing this, right? Like, and talking to other women who have started their own practice. I truly feel, and entrepreneurship is not for everybody. However, I feel like there is real power in entrepreneurship as a woman, as a female lawyer. I talk to women all day. I bring them on my podcast. Now, granted, have I started my own law firm? No, but I've started my own business. So I know that it is possible. And I know that you can do this from the beginning. I mean, there are people that graduated and have done this thing. They have sought mentorship. They have sought help. They're doing the do. So I think that unfortunately, there's a generation above us of women who did have to make a lot of hard choices, who felt like their back was up against the wall and didn't feel like they had the ability to choose.
Yeah.
I feel like in 2024, how we have the ability to practice law in so many different ways. I feel like there are options and choices, and I feel like you need to do your research and just be ahead of the game and seeking and see if you can get an internship in a woman-owned law firm. Like, what would that look like? There's so many ways for you to go seek out mentorship, and that would be my biggest piece of advice in this.
Yeah, I think that's so good. Having that available before you even necessarily need it, especially when it comes to being a parent. Sophia, you're planning ahead for something in the future. And so starting to take those steps now of, okay, who's going to be in my corner? Who will throw that rope back to me? Who can support me? And building those relationships now while you're early on in your career, I think will be, so important. And I think that, kind of what I like to do in my life, in my own goal setting, is I want to look, 1 year ahead, 5 years ahead, whatever it may be. Where do I want to be then? And what do I need to do now to make that happen? And I think, setting yourself up for looking into firms that have good maternity leave if you want to join a firm, understanding what that means and what that entails and doing your research, I think is so important. I'm all about there are no limits, in my opinion. There's no limits. We can do whatever we want, but having that research done ahead of time and knowing will be so important. And having people that you can truly, like you said, Erin, a mentor, because when I became a parent as an attorney, I didn't really have, and I still don't have, a ton of friends who have kids, or some of them had moved away. And so we weren't necessarily right in each other's neighborhood. I felt very alone in what I was going through. I worked with mostly men, and most of them were parents, but their lawyer parent experience was very different from mine. Not only because we are the ones, unfortunately, science has only come so far. We are the ones who have to carry the child. When I had my first, I was all about it. And then when we were having our second, I said to my husband, wouldn't it be so nice if it could be your turn now? And he's like, yeah, I would. I'm like, yeah, that would be great. But the reality is, we're the one growing that baby, carrying that baby, dealing with all the things that come along with pregnancy. I was lucky to have a fairly easy pregnancy both times, but that doesn't mean you're not exhausted at times, or you don't have crazy headaches, or your back doesn't hurt, or whatever it may be. So researching ahead of time, if you're going to be joining a firm, what your compensation would be, what your leave, policies would be, and work from home potentials as well, are going to be really important. But I do really love that. I think this generation of law students is different, because I never thought to ask these questions either, and I think just having like you said, the emotional intelligence to start asking these questions will put you light years ahead of at least where I was. And I think that's so important. It really is.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the quality of the questions that you ask yourself reflects the quality of your life. So the more questions you ask yourself and answer them honestly, because you're hearing a lot of what you should do at this point in your legal career and how this should look and what you should be applying for and yada, 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 yada. But you have to think if that aligns with what you truly want and what's important to you. So.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit, in your coaching program, when you're working with attorneys and you're kind of doing this, what are some of the techniques that you like to use for people to goal set or to plan ahead? Because that is one of my favorite topics, and I'm sure it is for you too. What are you doing with your lawyers and Powerhouse lawyer community?
So the questions that I like to ask is our brains always go to the negative. So I always want to be like, what is working right now? What are you killing right now? What do you know is going to be successful? Let's go there. And then there'll be, this is what's working. This is what's going great, whatever. Okay, what's not working right now? What is not working and why? And then from that place, then we can go and reverse engineer and figure out why that's not working and break it down. A lot of times it has to do with stories that we are telling ourselves that we have adopted from a long, long time ago that are not true about why we don't have great boundaries, why we have a really hard time saying no, why we are always trying to fix and people please, all of these things that we do, which are totally normal feelings, by the way. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not crazy. These are totally normal feelings, but it's taking what's not working and then backing it up from there and figuring out why. And then how can we start to tell ourselves a different story? How can we start taking different action? How can we start showing up differently? Is a really great thing. And then a great follow-up question to that is, okay, in a perfect world, what would you need for this to all work? What would make this work, right? What would you need? And so it has you thinking I would need probably, maybe you're trying to, lose weight or whatever it is. your health is not working for you right now. You don't feel great. You've got headaches, you're sluggish, you're just brain fog, all this stuff. Like, okay, so how can we, I just totally lost my train of thought, what I was talking about.
So like what tools do you already have? I think I know. It's Friday.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is Friday and I have mom brain. No, I'm back. And so I asked them like, okay, so what would you need to make that work? And they'll be like, okay, well, I would probably need maybe like a trainer and like a schedule. I would need my husband to be on board. Okay. So now you've actually started making your action plan in your own list. And so these are immediate action steps that you can start going and doing to kind of get yourself back on track. So
that's so good. And I think when you start to do that, I know when I do that, it takes so much of that stress and anxiety and those negative thoughts away, or at least it mitigates them, because now you have a plan and you may not know all the steps to that plan or exactly how it's going to play out, but you have a plan and you know the tools that are available to you. And just figuring that out, whether it's losing weight and focusing on your health, starting a business, going through law school, transitioning areas of, practice in the law, whatever it is, wanting to plan a trip, just getting a plan in place, it really does help. And I know there's so many studies about, if you start writing down your goals and the steps to get there, it's like you're exponentially more likely, to do the thing that you want to do. And be prepared when all those limiting beliefs come in and tell you, well, you can't lose weight because of XYZ, genetics or environment, or you're too busy. All the lies that our brain likes to tell us to keep us safe. Our brain is really just trying to protect us. Just like the people who around us who maybe don't give us the best advice or limiting advice, most of the time, everyone means well. They're just trying to protect us and keep us safe because we're all human beings. But working with a coach, especially, and sitting down and writing all those goals down, I think for me, it has been a game changer. It really transformed the entire way that I saw myself, that I saw the law. But warning, once you start doing this work, it's really, you can't undo it, because now you look around and you're like, wait a minute, all these constraints that, the legal industry is putting on me, or law school, or my family, like it's not real. It's not real.
Yep.
The reality is. And so, you will completely change the way that you see the world, which is a good thing, in my opinion. A very, very, very good thing.
And there's such power in reverse engineering, taking small, simple action steps over time. I think it's easy to get caught in the long game, right? Like and see the goal, have the vision, and then our brain starts to go like, oh my God, like that's really hard. And I don't know what I even need to do. That's where a coach is so great, because they can say like, okay, that's where we're going. What do we need to do today to get you one step closer to that? We can't go all the way to Z. We can't go A to Z. We have to go A to B first. Then you've got accountability. You have a different perspective, right? You have someone holding a mirror up to you. That's why coaching is so powerful. It completely changed my life. And you're right. Like once you open Pandora's box, you can't close it again.
And you won't want to.
No, because you want to. Because that's the thing. Once the possibilities of you see what's possible, and then you prove to yourself you can do it, you're going again. You're leveling up again. You're leveling up again because you're building your confidence and proving to yourself that it's possible one step at a time. So then there's no stopping you.
That's so true. I love it. It's crazy to reflect back and look at our lives before we knew this. I look back to my first few years of law practice when I didn't know any of this. And it just seemed like everything was so hard all the time. And there wasn't, an end in sight to the work and the stress and the anxiety and all the things. And so this is why I love having conversations like this. Even if one person hears it and changes what they're going to do with their lives, then it's a job well done on a Friday morning for us,
150%. Because I know if I had listened to even one podcast like this and heard one woman telling a different story, like my ears and eyes would have been open to hear what else was going on. So absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's a great segue. This is a question that I asked every guest last season, and I love this question so much. What would you tell your 1L self, 1L Erin? What would you tell her? What advice would you give her, just in general? And then because this podcast is all about becoming a wealthy lawyer, what would you tell her about money specifically?
I love this. Okay, so I would tell 1L Erin to, oh my gosh, there's so many things I would tell her. I would tell her, first of all, that it is all going to turn out better than she could have ever imagined. And that if she just keeps being herself and knowing who Erin is, then everything is going to work out. You don't have to do what everybody else thinks you should. You don't have to do it the same way it's always been done. You can be different. You can go outside of the box. I would just tell her that part of her that was even dreaming big at that point just needed to keep going and just love her. Honestly, like, she needed a damn hug. Like, she really needed a hug. Just like,
I feel that to my core.
Yes.
To my core.
Especially probably about this time as we're starting to prepare for finals. Like, she really needed a hug her 1L year really bad.
I know that 1L Lauren who was chugging coffee at 3 a.m., trying to study for an exam and having no clue what I was doing, like zero. She definitely needed a hug.
I think I would just tell her that it's going to be okay, that you're doing a good job, that you're worthy of success and whatever that looks like in your life, and just to keep going. You got this, girl.
Yeah. And what about with money? With respect to money?
I would tell her to really, really address her money story. Like, that is something that I didn't even know existed until I got into all of this personal development work. And I will never forget reading T. Harv Eger's book, or whatever his last name is, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and talking about the money blueprint. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, no wonder. I think I have always had this shame and guilt about money because I didn't feel educated about it. I felt like I was making all this money, but I didn't know what to do with it. Like, I didn't feel like a big girl with it. Yeah. And there's a lot of sticking the head in the sand, and there's a lot of just going along. And I would tell that woman that she owes it to herself to be financially intelligent from the beginning, because you are going to set yourself up and save yourself a lot of heartache.
Yeah. It's so good. I love talking about this stuff because it's not talked about a lot, just enough in general, in my opinion, and especially in the law. It's just not discussed that much. And, it was the same for me. I didn't really have a lot of education around personal finance and money. I was a finance major, and I did not learn anything that would have actually helped me as an individual to grow my wealth and to understand what a money story is and how to look at the current one that I may have and say, is there something about this that I want to tweak or drastically change because it's not working for me? I know I think I told this story in season 1, but I'll tell it again very quickly. My biggest aha moment was in Big Law. I was talking to, I think I had similar conversations with multiple partners, but one partner in particular was saying that someone else had retired early, and he was saying, I wish I could do that. I wish that was possible for me. And he had been practicing probably 25 years at that point in Big Law for most of those years. And I thought to myself, okay, if you've been making $800,000 a year, for how many years, how is it remotely possible that you could not retire right now if that's what you wanted to do? And I just had this, the clouds lifted, the fog, dissipated. And I said, oh, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's how he sees the money and how he sees his wealth and how he sees what's available to me. And it literally changed my entire world and how I thought about money. It like released those shackles a little bit of, there's only one way to make money in life or in the law, or there's never enough of it. I started realizing money and psychology are so closely, interrelated, more so than I think a lot of people realize. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that.
And and that money story then manifests in your life. Like, your bank account is a direct reflection of how you think, feel, and act with money. I mean, that is what 100%. I would tell younger Erin is that, we don't need to stick our head in the sand and just pretend that somebody else is going to help figure this out for us. It is your responsibility, and you owe it to yourself to be financially literate, to be financially intelligent. And I mean, I'm not saying that I need to be like a some guru, but I just think you need to know enough to be able to protect yourself and set yourself up for the life that you want, so you're not constantly digging yourself there.
Yeah. And like you said, knowing that money is energy. It's not this finite resource that we're taught to believe that it is. There's so much more to it than that. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. This was so amazing, Erin. Let everyone know where they can find you. All the things, the socials, the podcast. I know everyone's going to want to connect with you.
Okay. So the name of my podcast is Powerhouse Lawyers. You can catch that wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all the things. There are a million platforms these days. You can go directly to my website, eringerner.com, and find out about my offerings. My next retreat is in September at the Miraval in Austin, Texas, the 27th through the 30th of September. And if that interests anybody, it is an amazing community and just opportunity to come together as women in law and connect and lift each other up and get a game plan for where you're going for the last quarter of the year, and actually walk out of there with some tangible action tips and a really kick-ass community to support you along the way. But eringerner.com, and it's GERNER. I'm that on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And please message me. I love to connect with all of my fellow lawyers and just have empowering conversations like this. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being on. Thank you for all of your incredible insight and wisdom, and for sharing your wonderful energy and aura and all the things with us. I so appreciate it. I really, really am glad that we connected, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Thank you so much for being on. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Bye.